Good morning, everybody. It's Miss Steph. I am coming on for a real quick, I wouldn't even call this a pop up. This is just a quick little tips and tricks. Okay. So, tomorrow for our art project that we'll be doing at our virtual summer science club, our children are going to need water beads. So, let's talk a little bit about just a few tips that I have for developing the water beads quickly and in a very neat way, and in a way that will make sure that you don't have too many for what you're trying to get done. For tomorrow, the children are actually going to need a very small amount of the water beads. We're going to be painting with them, which should be very fun, but they really need a very, very little amount. And so what my first tip is that you measure. You don't go directly from your water bead container, whatever container you have your water beads contained within, held within. You measure them. Don't just throw them directly into your development container. And so I have here just a little cup, one of the medicine cups. I actually have hundreds of them literally in my stash, in my science material stash. And like I said, I have a bunch of these little cups. And what we have here on this particular cup, as you can see, it measures quite well, and it measures in several different ways. And so I've got it turned to the 2 tablespoon, 1 tablespoon, teaspoon, half teaspoon. So I'm going with 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon. I'm just going to put that 1 teaspoon inside of my beaker. Chosen to use a beaker, and this beaker actually goes up to 300 milliliters. Okay, so I'm just going to throw that in there. Again, tips and tricks. First tip: measure your dry water beads. Do that first. And I just did 1 teaspoon. Put that to the side. Next tip: we all know that we want to prevent the growth of microbes, okay, or pathogens within the different things that our children are going to make contact with. And so you can actually just do a squirt of your handy dandy hand sanitizer because it has alcohol in it, and we know that alcohol prevents the growth of microbes. And once again, it's got alcohol in it, so if you don't have this, you could use some alcohol. You could use about a teaspoon of alcohol. You don't want to use too much because then the water beads will not expand, because as we know, water beads, yes, they are one of our super absorbent polymers. And our super absorbent polymers absolutely always prefer water. Okay, so this is just enough to prevent a little microbial growth. 2 squirts, that's it. Okay, and again, if you're going to use just straight up alcohol, a teaspoon should do you. All right, and here's my water bead container. Okay, these, of course, it says don't eat, and these should never be poured down your drain, because you're not going to be happy if you do that. Okay, so that's tip number 3. When disposing, do not pour the water beads down the drain. They need to go into the trash. Tip number 4, okay, safety. If you have young children around, make sure that these are far away from your littles, okay? Anybody under 4, you want to be very careful in looking young children and this particular, and absolutely not for anybody in your team. Okay, guys? Next thing, the water. Tip number 5. If you need to develop your water beads in a short period of time and you don't have, per se, overnight, you don't have overnight, you need them for a project like right away, warm water. Warm water, kid you not. They like to be warm, and so the super absorbent polymer, okay, can absorb warm water a bit quicker than it can absorb cold water. Trust me, I know. I've tested it. All right. I'm going to go up to 200 milliliters. And if I was properly measuring, I would need to come down to the level, so on and so forth. But for purposes of the video and for the fact that I know that this does not need to be exact, I'm going to lift this up so that you are able to see what I'm doing. All right, 200 milliliters. You'll notice it's a little on the cloudy side. Why is it cloudy? Because we have an alcohol content in here, and so alcohol and water kind of give you this cloudy little situation, right? So, tip number 1, measure your dry water beads before you start. Tip number 2, you can put in a little bit of alcohol or some type of hand sanitizer to minimize the microcephaly growth. Tip number 3, no eating, and do not take them around. Well, no eating, okay? And number 4 would be really careful with them around the little ones, very, very small children. And tip 5, use particularly warm water to help you develop your water beads very quickly, okay? And our bonus tip, have fun, okay? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll come on at some other time again to give you some tips and tricks about how to do all these great things that we're doing at Summer Science Club 2020.